Hello everyone. Dion Johnson here, founder at Woman Leader Global, the corporate events firm exclusively for women in senior leadership. And if you are joining, you are very welcome to put your name in the chat box so I can say hello to you personally and welcome you to this broadcast. It is the 8th of February. It's the 8th day of this series that I've been running, will be running throughout the month of February, called Queendom. And I am running this as an opportunity really to share some of the thoughts that I'm having and the things that I'm learning and my unique insights around what it means to be a woman of influence, ascending in our capacity to influence in our organizations and our industries and our field. I think that the world is going through a really powerful shift and shaking, and I believe that women are a really powerful part of shaping that shift and leading in the new season that we arrive in, the new day that's emerging. And so I think we need to get ready for that. I think we need to think it through, question ourselves, rethink, review, redefine, refresh, and all that good stuff. So I want to put my penny's worth in. I really care about us evolving as women and leaders and change makers. And I want to put my penny's worth in. I'm a Black person. I'm a Jamaican English. I'm a woman. I am a Christian. I am a leader and a change maker and all that good stuff. So I want to join the conversation too. And so this is my invitation to you, that if there's anything I'm saying, if you are liking, if this is resonating, if you're a woman in senior leadership and you want to talk some more, any one of these videos is an invitation for you to come closer. Use the link, subscribe to my channel. Just get involved, get connected, and let's keep talking and let's keep growing together. Today, this video is called A Fire. There's a fire in the basement. And it's a little story that I told to an MD, a managing director of an organization that asked me to come in and do some work with their senior leadership team. Their senior leadership team weren't functioning well. In fact, they were probably, I think it's fair to say that they were dysfunctional, a dysfunctional senior leadership team. And I was asked to come in and do some work with some of the leaders. And so we made this plan that I would be able to work confidentially so that nothing that was said in the consultations would be relayed, that I wouldn't have to share people's personal details and things that they share. It's Chatham House rules, right? So but he wanted to know kind of the themes that were coming out of my work with the individual leaders. And so I explained it to him in this story, and I want to share it with you. And as I'm sharing it, I want you to think if you can see yourself in any of the characters of the story, right? So the story goes like this. It's the middle of the night in a city near you, on a suburban street, a bit like yours, and there are 3 houses in a row. And in the first house, there is a woman fast asleep in her bed, until she's not asleep anymore. She opens her eyes really suddenly and looks at the clock, and she sees that it's 3 a.m. in the morning. And she thinks to herself, oh God, 3 a.m. I've got to be up at 7. I need to get back to sleep. So she rolls over and she pulls a quilt over her head, but it's too late. She can't get back to sleep because she has this thought about what she's got to do tomorrow. And then she has another thought about what didn't get done yesterday. And then she has another thought about her little boy who's playing up at school. And then her mother-in-law who's getting on her nerves. And then one thought led to another thought, led to another thought. And the bills that need to be paid, and the things that are in arrears, and the things that are not working out, and my husband who's gone off to the secretary. And all these thoughts started to come into her mind, and before she knew it, she was wide-eyed awake at 3 a.m. Do you know that feeling? Well, she was so caught up with all the tension and the confusion and the chaos in her mind and all the cacophony of thinking that she didn't realize that across the street, almost opposite her house, a fire was brewing in the basement of the house across the street. But right next door to her was another woman. And this other woman woke up like you do in the middle of the night, wide-eyed. She rolled around, looked at the clock. She went, oh no, 3 a.m. Oh my goodness, I need to be up at 7. I can't afford to be awake now. Let me go back to sleep. But when she rolled over, she realized, I need to go to wee. So she got up out of the bed and she put her feet in her slippers and she stretched like this. And before she went to the loo, she kind of automatically went over to the window and looked out onto the street light illuminated street that she lives on, and just took a little glimpse up and down the road. And then she noticed it across the road. She looked across and she could see in the window of the basement across the street, it looked like there was a fire going on. It looked like there was something. It looked like a fire. Was it a fire? She couldn't tell, but it looked like a little spark. Something was sparking. She could see a little flame dancing, and she wondered, is that a fire? She goes, oh my God, it's a fire. So she makes to go to get across the street to tell them. And then she thinks, oh, maybe I shouldn't say anything. Suppose I'm wrong. Suppose it's just a lamp. Or suppose they get upset with me for waking them up. After all, it is 3 a.m. Or suppose it's just that they're starting it, that it's their fire. They're just keeping warm. Suppose. And she talked herself right out of the inkling to go and do something about that fire that she thought was brewing in the basement across the street. She just thought, no, I'm not going to do it. So she jumped back into bed. She didn't even go to the loo. She jumped back into bed. She put the quilt over her head and she went to sleep. Hello, as you're joining me, put your name in the box. I'm telling a story about 3 ladies. So catch up with the story. So in the third house next door to her, there was a woman who was sleeping, and you get it, she woke up, she looked at the clock, and it was 3 a.m. And she said, oh no, it's 3 a.m. I've got to be at work at 7. I can't afford to be awake at 3 a.m. So she rolled over and tried to go to sleep. And then she thought, oh no, I've got the munchies. I need to eat something before I go. So she got up and she thought, I'll just make my way down to the kitchen and grab a little bite, and then I'll go back to sleep after that. But she looked across the street and something caught her eye. She said, oh my gosh, there is a fire in the basement across the street. So she grabbed her coat, she ran, she was putting her foot in her slippers, she ran down the stairs, she almost jumped down the flight of stairs, opened the front door, banged it against the wall, ran across the street and started banging on the door and saying, hey, wake up, there's a fire in your basement. Now in the house with the fire in the basement, the family that owned the house was sleeping upstairs, and the wife heard the commotion first. She ribbed her husband and said, hey, wake up. Someone's banging at the door. And he said, oh no, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, we've got to be up at 7. Let's go back to sleep. But the woman was still banging on the door. She's saying, hey, help. Wake up. There's something going on in your basement that you should know about. And the woman said, get up and get rid of her, because someone's banging and they're going to wake up the kids. They're going to disrupt the household. Everyone's going to be awake soon. Go and get rid of that woman banging at the door. So he got up reluctantly and he looked out over the window and he saw that it was that mad lady from across the street. And he said, what do you want? And she said, there's a fire in your basement. And he said, what? What are you saying? Don't you realize it's 3 o'clock in the morning? She was exasperated. She was losing momentum. She was banging on the door, but he just wasn't paying attention. He was saying, go away, it's 3 a.m. I need to get up at 7, go away. The wife was saying, get rid of her, she's going to wake up the kids. And everybody just wanted her to stop the banging and stop the commotion and get back to her bed. Well, after a while, when she saw that these people could hear and see her but weren't paying her any attention, she decided, you know what, forget you, burn for all I care. And she walked across the road, head hung low, with her shoulders hunched. She walked across the street, back into her house, dropped her coat, kicked off her shoes, went back to bed, pulled the duvet over her head and said, forget you. I told that story to the MD of the organization that asked me to come and work with his senior leadership team, who weren't functioning very well. And to be honest, those three women really did characterize what I was seeing. You know, they summed up. There was a woman who really was just so caught up that she wasn't involved in what was going on at all in work. She had so many personal things happening. She had so many challenges at home, family, husband, physical illness, emotional illness, money worries, all kinds of challenges that women in senior leadership are really handling right now, and really it detaches them. They're so caught up with what's going on in their personal lives and their personal crisis that it's just they don't have what it takes. They don't have any more bandwidth to be connected in any real and meaningful way in their senior leadership role. And so that was one kind of woman that I was working with in that organization. The other kind of woman was like the second woman who saw the issues and saw the challenges, but felt so much like so not confident to raise things, no inkling that she was a woman of influence. She was either feeling like an imposter, like, how did I get here? I better keep my head low and not say anything, or feeling like she wasn't part of the in crowd, the kind of powerful crowd. She wasn't part of the mechanism for making real changes in the organization or the industry. And so she kind of saw what she saw and just tried to keep her head down and pretend and say as little as possible and not rock any boats and not make any noise and not draw any attention to herself. So that was the second kind of woman that I was seeing and see time and time again. A woman in senior leadership who doesn't want to rock any boats. And then the third type of woman that I told this MD about was the woman who had been knocking on the door, who had been making noise, had been speaking her truth, had been shaking the thing up and banging on the door and calling the attention, but was feeling really ignored, feeling unheard, feeling like there was no hope, like nobody was taking her seriously, feeling invisible, feeling undervalued or under-acknowledged, or just being ridiculed or just insignificant in the organization and the industry, just like with so much to say, so much to offer, real insight about the problems and the challenges, but nobody seems to be listening. Of course, there were some other people in that story too, the people in the top room, and oftentimes even senior leadership has line management, right? And oftentimes those line managers are suffering the same kind of thing, because here's what's happening in the other room. They were tired. They were tired. The upper room, the people in the house with the fire in the basement, they were tired. They wanted to sleep. They didn't want any more complaints. They had their hands full. They'd just gotten the kids off to sleep. Things were just sort of, easing on out. And here was somebody wanting to come with another complaint, another promotion, another problem, another pointing out something was wrong, another challenge, another issue, another complaint, and shut her up. So I don't know if you I'm asking you to consider if you resonate with any or maybe even all of those. I know that definitely in my journey to influence, in my journey to leadership, I've experienced all of those. And I just wanted to share that story with you today to just see if you could ask yourself, where do you fit? Do you recognize yourself in any of those women? Do you recognize yourself in any of that scenario? Because if we're going to ascend as queens of influence, if we're going to influence our industry, we first need to locate what's stopping that influence. What is it? What's getting in the way of us making the kind of changes, rocking the kind of boats that really need to be rocked, speaking up when we need to? Where are we with this? Because ultimately, there's another type of woman, isn't there, that we didn't mention in this story. And she's the woman who is relentless at banging on the door, relentless at calling attention to the fire. So when banging on the door is not working, she's going to find a way to kick it down. She's going to find a way to get in. She's going to find a way to make this problem exposed. She's going to find a way to whistle blow. And yeah, I want to talk about her tomorrow. I want to talk about the kind of woman who not only sees the problems, but feels like she is responsible for doing something about them. So we'll talk about her tomorrow, and I'll see you later. Let me know what you think. Ask your questions. Let me know what you think in the chat box, and we'll take it from there. See you later.